We're in the age of stupidity in the gaming world, where the stupid questions are always asked first, and the more relevant questions are never asked at all. And that's what we're seeing right now with the gaming industry, kind of in a confusion right now. We're looking at the massive success that we're seeing with Monster Hunter Wilds, where gamers are resoundingly saying this is the game we want to play, this is the game that we're interested in, and we're going to reject any other game that comes out during this time period. And this has led to a massive push in the gamer player base for this game, reaching and almost peaking at 1.4 million players playing at a consistent rate. And that is just what we're seeing now in the gaming industry, where gamers are declaring what game they're playing, and they're resoundingly declaring the games that they're not playing right now. And I think that's what we're seeing with the backlash from gaming journalists suggesting what's going on. Why is Monster Hunter Wilds a massive success, while Dragon Age Vailguard is resulting in the closure of multiple studios and the ending of an entire franchise? And I think that's the frustration that we're seeing right now with gaming journalists and people in the development space, where they're looking at this Japanese game, Monster Hunter Wilds, and they're comparing to a game that has a similar historic background, and they're seeing a giant discrepancy in the market. And that discrepancy is confusing them, where they're thinking, why is this game not actually succeeding in the market? It's supposed to be even better than the game that we're seeing currently with Monster Hunter Wilds. And that is, in their mind, a fault that they're trying to actually find a solution for. And that is kind of admirable that they are trying to find a solution, but they're finding the solution in all the wrong places. In a new article from The Gamer that is questioning, why isn't Monster Hunter Wilds flopping like Dragon Age Vailguard? Which sounds like a naive question. If you're a gamer in general, you know the stark differences between these two games, but this question from the journalism community is showing that at least a good question is being posed, but the answers are multiplying in their stupidity. And that's what we're seeing with the answer that we get in this article from The Gamer, where they're trying to find the solution to this problem, and they're finding the solution in all the wrong places. Because if you go through this article, what they mentioned as the problem with Dragon Age Vailguard is the overall simplification of the game itself. They're saying that Dragon Age Vailguard simplified the gaming mechanics to such a degree that the game players really weren't resonating with the game itself. And I think if you played both of these games, Monster Hunter Wilds and the previous iterations of Dragon Age Vailguard and Monster Hunter Wilds, you realize there's always a simplification process right now in the video gaming industry. Both of these games were simplified to a massive degree, and that simplification has led to a disgruntlement between the gamer and player base for both franchises. People have complained about the simplicity that we saw with Monster Hunter Wilds. That simplicity doesn't get in the way of the gameplay and the overall feel of the game that we're looking for. That's why the complaints over Monster Hunter Wilds are overblown and not really considered too much, because the game is still the game itself. It hasn't changed too much, and it's still bringing the same elements that we love about Monster Hunter Wilds. Well, the opposite could be said about Dragon Age Vailguard. It kind of stole away entire elements of the gameplay, the story, and characterization of the game. So much so where game players weren't seeing the same Dragon Age game that they previously loved and adored, because you couldn't even make a negative choice in this game. If you know Dragon Age games, you can make negative choices that impact the game and show a different personality. But even if you choose a supposedly negative choice in this game, you still have the same reaction, result, and overall impression of the characters in this game, where the characters don't really change. They're really the same happy-go-lucky, friendly people that are in cohesion together, which is not usually the thing we see in Dragon Age game, where everyone is so positively, toxically positive with each other. And I think that is the thing gamers had a frustration with this game, where it felt like a modern day corporate training hour when you're playing this game, where everyone's attuned to the sensitivity of everyone, where it didn't feel like an actual fantasy game with clashing personalities, because everyone has the same personality, everyone has the same morals and values, and no one is different. And I think that lack of understanding Dragon Age games is at the core of the failure of Dragon Age Vailguard, where it wasn't a Dragon Age game. It was someone's personal diatribe about modern day California politics transposed on a fantasy. And I think that was the thing that gamers had a folly with, and that resulted in the massive decline of the game itself. You can compare Monster Hunter Wilds to games like Dragon Age Vailguard, and you see the stark difference right there, where gamers really didn't even give Dragon Age Vailguard a try, especially this storied franchise, which has millions of fans, and it barely reached 89,000 on Steam charts. probably, if you can combine the Xbox and PS5, you're probably looking at barely 1 million people actively playing this game at any given moment at its peak. And I think that is reflective in the sales itself, where this game seemingly hasn't reached above 2 million sales. And that is reflective of a game that needs to actually make $300 million to break even, and needs to sell over 9 to 8 million, at least reportedly by EA, where EA, the owner of BioWare, saw this game as a complete failure on their books, where they have to write it off. They're firing people from different studios, from BioWare, Edmonton Studios. They kicked off the game director of this game, who ruined the game itself with their personal ideologue politics that are focused on their personal transition, which nobody actively cares about because it makes no sense in a Dragon Age game, but it was put at the forefront of the game. And I think that is a situation that we're seeing that is the complete opposite of what we see with Monster Hunter Wilds. Monster Hunter Wilds is not concerned with modern day California politics. Of course, people are saying there's no male-female choices in the game. You only choose between presets of body types that are clearly male or female, but even then we had complaints from people saying, even if I choose this male-female preset, everyone's pronouncing my pronouns as the character that I look as, which makes sense. If you're choosing a character that looks female, people are going to use female pronouns, and that is confusing the small, minute minority of people, because that is just not really the makeup of game players. Game players really don't care about this, only the political activists. And I think that is the thing that Dragon Age Vailguard failed to. It concerned itself with the activists in charge of the game itself, where it concerned itself with modern political activists that don't play games, but just opine on gaming. And they made a game strictly for those people, and we got the end result of that, a game that simply is for no gamer at all. And that failure led to the massive drop-off that we saw with Dragon Age Vailguard, where everyone is getting fired, where the tables have churned on BioWare and Western gaming, and every studio that's following this type of game design is failing. And I think that is the reflection that we're seeing right now in the gaming industry, where gaming is not made for the gamers anymore, and the games that make themselves for the gamers are actually succeeding now. And that's reflective of mostly Eastern game developers. Eastern game developers understand what is needed to actually produce content at a higher rate that's more in line with the gamers' tastes and actual appeal. And this is what's making Monster Hunter Wilds wildly successful. The fact that the gamer, a lot of these game journalists skip over this fact, over character design, model, actually sticking to the ethos and moral values of the game that has been established already. They don't even consider this. They think that is probably the diatribe of a racist gamer that doesn't understand the current modern day political activist mindset that you're supposed to have when you're approaching gaming. And I think that just shows that a lot of these people in the gaming industry right now are so far gone that they truly do not understand the gamer base that they're trying to win over. And unfortunately for them, that is a gamer base that is still out there willing to purchase games. And if you're not willing to make a game based on that, you're probably going to have a massive failure on your hands. At least that's my 2 cents on the situation. Maybe you disagree with me. You tell me what you think about the situation. Do you think Monster Hunter Wilds' success is reflective of what the gamers actually want? I think that's the case, and I think we're seeing many people do the same thing in the Eastern games development sphere that are gaining massive success because of this. But this is just my 2 cents on the situation. Maybe you disagree with me. Maybe you think that Monster Hunter Wilds is just a lucky fluke of a success, that Dragon Age Vailguard is just a failure based on the racist, misogynistic gamers. Or maybe you just don't believe it. Maybe you just think Monster Hunter Wilds is a better game and that's simply it, and nothing else matters in gaming. And I think that is, to a high degree, something that is true. But unfortunately for the game devs and a lot of these social media journalists, they don't understand that. But this is just my thoughts on the situation. You tell me what you think about the situation. What do you think is leading to the failure of Dragon Age Vailguard? What do you think is leading to the success of Monster Hunter Wilds? I'd like to hear your thoughts. Like, comment, share, subscribe. This is Wagner Knows Why. Catch you next time.